one step further, peasant, and you will find that your trip to the armory shop is very short indeed. Who are you, and what are you doing in this armory store? Speak quickly. I must insist. Thou dost not remember inviting thee for an armory armor try-on. We are not hosting any peasants here in my armory store today, thank you. This is a highly renowned armory where actual knights and persons of great significance come here to get all their armor ready to do battle and be heroic and do mighty deeds. You are not any of those things. The only deeds mighty of yours is probably on a field somewhere with a lot of mud. No. So who is it that has sent you? I find that hard to believe. A liege sent you here to get your very own armor. And where was it you were from? I know it's England. What county? Gosh, they must be really desperate over there. Has there been a call to arms? Has your lord lost his senses? No. Okay, so just one more thing, and I advise you to answer as truthfully as possible. Does thou consider thyself as a bandit of some sort? A person of the trail? Someone who sneaks up on persons and takes all of their belongings? Is that someone like you? Have you done anything like that? Please tell me you have. No? Okay. Well, what a pity. Is that a bag of coin there? And you sure that you did not steal that on your journey here to the armory? There seems to be somewhat ambitious peasants around these days, and you're absolutely sure. Do you bear a scroll or a note from your lord? Oh, you do. Well, let me see your parchment then. I do hereby declare that this landowner can be use this coin wisely, get free on the dark with swords as weapons that are worthy fit to my kingdom. And the crest? Oh, I see. But you seem to have a lot of coin there. That is most favourable, and I'm sure will get you the right. What is it you're here for? A sword. The perfect sword, and yes, to defend your lands with, yes, for your liege. I see. If you could give me one moment there. So I'll just stoke the fire and my ambition. There we go. So have you had a fitting before? Thou usually serves and deals with noblemen, people of importance of the land, landowners, barons, that sort of ilk. And I must say, to have a peasant here in my armory is highly unsatisfying and a little bit nerving for me, because how does one arm a peasant? Where does one begin? I hear you ask. Well, there's a process for this, and if you can just let me know first what hand you use your sword with, what hand you use your bow with. Okay, you'll be right-handed. And be what? Ambidextrous, meaning both hands. Oh, you are a highly read peasant, aren't you? Though doubt probably illiterate. Yes. So, for a sword, for you have to undergo the process, and to find the perfect sword would be to make sure we get the perfect length for you, so that when you use it in battle, when they use a sword, it's a part of their being. So you need to have the perfect balance. It needs to look perfect and just right for you. It needs to feel good in your hand and become a part of your person. Only then will a true warrior feel at one with their weapons. This armory is renowned for doing just those things. Okay, so I think it would be prudent for me to just take that bag of coin there for you. I beg you not to argue with me, for thou has many weapons here and thou has none. Okay, so I'm just going to take a little look in this pouch here. Just make sure it's gold and silver in there. Well, that's quite a lot. I will take this as collateral. So what I'd like you to do for me now is to hold out your arm. We are going to take one little small measurement there. I hope you don't mind. I'm just going to cover myself up here because I don't wish to come close to your peasant aroma, okay? But I'm just going to measure both your arms, if you could be most obliging to me. If you could hold out your left arm here for me. Okay, I use this by certain knots in the string, and we're going to pull this down here. Okay, keep nice and still. My goodness, you smell of farm and horse. Okay, so we have how many knots? We have 1 knot, 2 knots, 3 knots, 4 knots, 5 knots, 6 knots, 6.5 knots. There, okay. And I can do it with your right arm. Now this is your sword fighting arm. So we are looking for 6.5 knots here. 1 knot, 2 knots, 3 knots, 4 knots, 5 knots, and 6 3/4. 6 3/4. I mean, you are a peasant after all, so abnormalities are probably something which is common for someone like you. Now, I'm just going to measure across your shoulder here. Okay. 1 knot, 2 knots, 3 knots. Here's 3, 4 1/4. Right. And now I'm just going to measure your torso here. I take it that you have all of the armor you need. Your liege did not specify. Well, that is a terrible thought. However, I think that we will just get you sorted with your weapons, and if your liege sees fit to send you back with more coin, we can get you armored up. But weapons will be the day of for you today. Okay, so let's just place that there. Okay, got 1 knot, 2 knots, 3 knots, 4 knots, 5 knots, 6 knots, 7 knots, 8 knots, 9 knots, 10. Okay, that's good. I think that's probably about right there. Now I'd like you just to hold your arms out as wide as possible there for me. Okay, and I'll just take the length there. Okay, 1 knot, 2 knots, 3 knots, 4 knots, 5 knots, 6 knots, 6 knots, 7. You had some expansion there. And the same if you could hold out your other arm there for me. 1 knot, 2 knots, 3 knots, 4 knots, 5 knots, 6 knots, 7. 7.5. Once again, a little bit longer. How very strange. Okay. I am now of safe distance from you, and I think we can get you sorted with an appropriate weapon for you. Now, when you find yourself protecting your lord's lands and making sure when you have the quarter arms that you are fit to fight, instead of probably using your pitchforks, throwing mud at foes, that sort of thing, or I don't know, rocks or stones, whatever you peasants do, what weapon would you choose if you actually had it upon your lands? A sword? Okay, a sword, indeed. Any axes? I see. Knives and daggers? Right, okay. Well, you have plenty of coin upon your person, and I'm going to use my intuitive senses here to say that your liege most likely sent thee with your bag of coin to get as much weaponry as possible, and definitely not fully armored up with a chest plate, chainmail, surcoats, coat of arms, a shield, that sort of thing. I'm sure they probably wanted you just to get the weapons. Nothing in your parchment there specifies otherwise, so I think we will get you kitted out with your weapons and make sure we get the right weapons there for you. Take them back to your liege, show them what you've got. You'll either be pleased with that judgment or incredibly disappointed, and might send you back here with another bag of coin to get even more from me and get armored up fully. Yes, exactly what I was thinking. Yes, a great idea. I will get you your first weapon. So this is one of our latest swords, and don't worry about the scuffs there. It's designed to be like that because when thou dost battle, especially in castles and things, then sometimes the scuffs make it look more authentic. Have you ever protected your lands or anything like that from raiders? No? Well, I assure you that this is a sword which will strike fear into your enemies. Now, it has a beautiful pommel here encrusted with a sign which is, of course, not anything to do with your lands and your liege. However, you have a leather grip here, and down here, I shouldn't pay too much attention over here because this is a new design for this sword, which means that when you hold it, it's more forward thinking and less protective, which shows your enemies that, of course, you mean to do battle. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this in your hand. If you take a look at the blade, it's a thicker blade here, very thick, so you will find a little bit more effort, but better results there. Okay, this for a peasant such as yourself could be somewhat unyielding, but I think after practice it might do you quite good. So if you'd like to hold this sword here, okay, let it balance in your hands. Okay, feel the balance. Okay, now I'll take that sword back and place it in your other hand here. Okay, just move it around. Okay, it feels good. Right, let me take that off there for you. Okay, I think something else. So a weapon which is suited for a peasant perfectly, because we must assume that peasants such as yourself are, of course, resourceful, and whenever you need an axe to chop down a tree, make firewood for your liege or whatever, or do your farming duties, then in order to do all those things you will probably need some sort of knife or an axe. This will bring you up in your peasant world with an axe such as this. This can be used for throwing at, though I'd highly recommend you try to hang on to it because it's even better when you defend yourself with it. This is an oak handle here and made in the armory here. This is a perfect example of an all-round axe which I think would suit you. Now, if you'd like to hold that there, okay, give it a wave. Watch yourself there, peasant. Okay, now on the other hand. No, in your other hand there. Okay, hold it, lift it up. Okay, now how's that feel in your left hand? Well, it could be that in your left hand, whilst holding your sword, you might have this axe as well. Very suitable for you. And now give it to me. Right, now I know this is very exciting for a peasant such as yourself to be able to hold weapons like this, weapons you've only ever dreamed about owning. So I'm going to take this off your hand before you run out of my armory and place it over here until the purchase has been made and completed. But I'd say this would be suited for you. I suggest that thou takes those intuitive recommendations here for you. You will need this. Good. Now, to have upon your person at all times to ensure that peasants such as yourself will be protected all of the time. So peasants such as yourself to have this upon your person to be protected at all times. It is mandatory for most knights to carry daggers upon their persons, as if you lose your sword then you will need your last reserve. These are the finest daggers here. These are steel and leather. In the handle there, short blade and perfect for either throwing or cooking your food with as well when you cross the lands and travel. Now these are two identical daggers which would be perfect for dueling with two hands if you, like I said, fall short of your sword. These daggers here will be placed upon your person, no doubt in a couple of sheaths on your belt. If not, perhaps both tucked down the side. If you have an arrow, perhaps place them on your quiver on top of each other or tuck them in like that. Wherever they go, make sure they would be in arm's reach, as they will be handy for protecting your lands should you get a call to arms from your lord. Okay, so feel that one there. I'm going to keep this one here because I don't entirely trust you that much. Okay, so if you just like to feel that one there, okay, just move it around a little bit. Okay, yeah, and take that back, and now with your left hand there, give it a wave. Yeah, right. Now perhaps you'd like to hold this one here. Okay, there's two of you. Right, and how do those feel? I do not care, thank you. Now, this is a sword of great importance. Would be wielded as a one-handed sword, however the pommel is large enough to actually use to, in case you wish to add a little bit more weight and severity to your strikes. I know these words are somewhat beyond a peasant's mind such as yours, but I assure these are all good things which I'm saying. Now this has a leather grip here. It is shorter, but its guard is greater, and it leads straight on down the blade to a nice perfect size with a heavier weight blade with a slight damage in there, but I shouldn't worry about that already. It hasn't definitely been used already in battle at all, and me picking it up from the battlefield or anything like that and then selling it back in my armory store. This is a brand new made sword here in the armory. Now the steel which is being used is a little bit different. It is a little bit darker, and it should bear a stronger capability when you use it, and plus it looks great as well. This is like a sword for kings of old, certainly not peasants, but you've certainly got the coin for it. So how about your left hand there first? Okay, yeah, or perhaps you'd like to move it around, not in my face, move it around. Yeah, okay, and now take that. Certainly not ambidextrous as you said. Okay, and place that there in your hand. Yep. Now lift. Right, now how does that feel? Yeah, well, you know instantly if a sword is right for you, and I believe this one is too. If you choose to have the other swords as well, which I've already decided you have and are, then this would go perfectly on your back in its own sheath and have it as a sword pulled upon your person, and you will be ready thusly. Okay, should you feel the need, or should the need arise for such action. Okay, so that would be 2 swords, 2 daggers, and an axe right now, which you've purchased or will be purchasing. Okay. Okay, and finally from my armory to you, directly to you, is 2 swords here, somewhat pointless really in size, and they don't really have a purpose for battle, nor do they have a purpose for any practicality upon your farm or anything else, though the size of them makes them quick and easy to draw should you need to. It's more of a time-saving sword. This one, however, looks like it's been in battle, because it has, but it also bears different markings, different sword styles there. It looks like it's been bent, because most probably it has as well, or a mistake in the armory and it's just been turned into a sword. However, those points could be made, but this sword is a special sword, as special as you are. Along with this one, the pommels are light, that agile and perfect for wielding. So feel both of those, they'll definitely be used. So think of them as slightly larger daggers though. Yeah, indeed. Yes, of course you do look like an exceptionally easy target, and I would recommend that you get fully armoured up with actual armour as well, not just weaponry. I think those would be a good fit there for you, because carrying all of these weapons shows your enemy that you mean absolute business. Thou can walk with confidence, knowing that you're fully armoured up and you are not a peasant to be messed with, a serf worth avoiding. Indeed, I'm sure your liege will be most impressed to see all of his coin wisely spent. Let me take those there for you. Okay, I'm going to make the collection now of the weapons which you've just purchased. You would like to purchase them, wouldn't you? 1 second. Just 1 second. I just needed to acquire my bow and arrow here. Just see how nicely it glides and points in all sorts of directions. Now, what was that hesitancy that you displayed there? You wish to buy all of the swords. Ah, a fine decision, and no doubt will serve you well. Well, my liege, I'm sure, will be most impressed to see what collection of items you've brought back to protect his lands, and probably you can give some out to the other peasants there as well. Did you give me your coin? Oh, you did. Then there'd be no need for that, of course. I do apologize there. I do not wish to give the wrong impression that we would force peasants to buy things, because I just wouldn't allow them into my store. So it's a very new experience to have someone such as yourself enter here and not really know how to serve them correctly and appropriately. Let me get that bag of coin. So payment will suffice from your pouch here. Is the pouch included? Well, let's just say it's included. I'm sure your liege knew that when he was given the coin that the pouch would also be included. So I will take hold of that. I think there should be adequate amounts of coin in here suitable to purchase all of your weapons, and that your weapons will no doubt serve you extremely well. They are made in one of the finest armories in the lands. Okay, if you were of someone importance, a knight, a lord, anyone like that, then I would of course bring these to your cards, your horse, or to your servants, and they could take them for you, or a personal delivery service back to your castle. However, you are none of those things, so let me just check your weapons that we've got here. A couple of swords, a couple of daggers, an axe, a broken sword, and a heavy sword from a bygone era, which is rubbish. I mean, perfect for battle. Well, I hope thou hast served thee with a great experience, getting you sorted with the perfect sword and weapon here from the armory. Now, here are your weapons. Okay, take care of them. I'm sorry, but you really do have quite a strong aroma. A little bit of horse, but it's almost of a cow. I don't know how you managed to get that from a horse from riding such long distance. Perhaps you actually rode on a cow? No. Oh, it's just your peasant farmland smell. Okay, well, do take good care of all of your weapons there, and I hope that you have a safe travel back to your lands and liege. Well, I hope that I get to see you again here in my armory soon. Okay, safe travels. Take care of yourself. Cheerio.